Okay. Hello guys, welcome. Good evening everybody. So hold on 1 second. Hey guys, I'm lowering the volume. Okay guys, how are you? I hope you guys can hear me and see me. I'm just waiting for a few people to join in. Okay. So they updated the live stream, so I'm just trying to figure it out. If you guys can please send me a couple of comments, so I can see. Here it is. I see the comments. Okay. Hey Alteric, how are you? Okay, perfect. So it's 8:59 here in New York. Let's wait a couple of more minutes. Let's see if people tune in. I have already few of you online. I hope everything is good. Hey Noshad, how are you? So I decided to do it at night, where more people can join and ask questions and so on. Oh my God, how many people! Hey Lawrence, I hope you're good. I miss you, man. Hey Debbie. Oh my God, so many people that I know. Hey Jerry, thank you so much. Yes, it's been a rough couple of weeks, but it's not more about the virus itself. It wasn't so bad physically, but more, emotionally more stressful for me, for my wife, for my kids. And every time you open the news, you hear so many bad things happening, and so I decided not to listen to the news so much and focus more about my family, my work, about you guys, about doing something that put my head aside from all this negativity. Hey Angela, finally you can join one of my videos, Angela. So it's 9:01. We have few people. 17 people. Okay, so I think we can start. So I picked today roughly about 30 images about weddings. Most of them are not edited because I want to show you the behind the scene of these images. So I hope you guys can I hope this webinar can be useful for you guys. I'm gonna switch my screen. You cannot see it, but I'm gonna switch it to my Lightroom, and I'll go back and forth. Hey Swati, you should be teaching this class, not me. Swati has won second place at WPPI with an amazing image, and honestly she's a great asset to this industry, and you should follow her images on Instagram and Facebook. She has really amazing images for everybody. Anyway, so let's jump on my first image. So this is the final image. I quickly edited today. As you can see, I still have some reflection here from the dust and everything, but I wanted to show you sometimes how easy it is to create a composite during a wedding. I shoot very often in this place. It's called the Old Westbury Gardens here in Long Island, and this wedding was about a couple of years ago. As you can see from the trees, we're in the winter, so the sun was setting very fast. And I positioned myself, actually I positioned the couple in this corner because the sun was peeking behind them, and I wanted to create the birth star of the sun. But again, as you know, I always tell everybody to keep your image as simple as possible. Sorry, especially on a wedding day, because you don't have the luxury of time. Some of you already know the story, but you guys don't have the luxury of time. You cannot bring the whole studio setup at the wedding day. So how I create an image like this, for example, is super simple. So that's the first image. I had my assistant with a speed light, as you can see, and if I don't mistake, that was 2-3 years ago, so I really don't remember all the details, but he had the magma gel with the CTO gel on it, and you cannot see the EXIF of the image, but it was shot with a 16 to 35 millimeter at 1/160 of a second, f16, because I wanted to get everything really sharp, and ISO 320. So as you can see, probably the flash was at full power, and as you can see, the assistant was maybe 6 to 8 feet away, pointing the flash right into the sorry guys, into the couple. And you see, I just asked them, close your eyes, feel the moment, and so the flash wouldn't be so hard on their faces. Then on Photoshop, I aligned the two images together. There's the second one. I asked my assistant to move away, so I don't care about if they are smiling, have their eyes open, or anything. That's not the image. The image that I'm using is this one. Then I'm gonna align the two, auto alignment on Photoshop, and then I'm gonna mask her out, and that's the final image. Okay, so let me switch back. Let me see if there is any comment. Okay, I don't have any questions, so if you guys have any questions, please roll them in. Don't I'm gonna go back and forth. I'm gonna see if you have any question. Please refer to the image that you're talking about, so I know which one you are referring to. Now let's go to the next one. So an image like this. Okay, this is a different couple, same location, same time of the year, winter. As you can see, the trees are naked, and the sun was peeking from the left. Same. Actually, it's the same condition, exactly same condition as this one. Again, different couple, and as you can see from the shadows, they're almost the same. And so I wanted to create an image that looks natural, it looks not flashy at all, and that's how it was created. As you can see, two assistants, Fernando and my Fernando, my second shooter, and my assistant over here, and both of them, they were using a speed light with the CTO gel, probably full CTO gel. And because the reason why I wanted to have a full CTO gel or half a CTO gel, I don't remember, is to mimic the same color of the sun that it was setting. Okay. So Fernanda was pointing to the bride, and she was pointing to the groom. Okay, I had both of them looking past the flash, and that's the final image. Okay, so that was sorry guys, this was shot at with the 16 to 35 Sony 1/100 of a second, f9 this time, because I wanted to lower my ISO versus the other one. So f9, ISO 125. Okay, so as you can see, I have the same location exactly same time, approximately same time of the year, winter, same condition, but I used two different setup, two different approach, because I don't like to have the same image over and over again. And of course I cropped it in a little bit more. I fixed the perspective of the image, so all the vertical are straight, all the horizontal are straight, and that's what you should look for. What the challenge was about this image is also to expose perfectly for the background, which in this case is like an outdoor image because of the windows. So have all the background properly exposed and exposed properly for the couple. Adrian, how are you? Swati, no problem, it's a pleasure. So Luis, can you tell me more about your question? Meaning, how do you get the spotlight? Can you rephrase your question, please? The white balance. Let me see. The white balance. The white balance, if I don't mistake, usually when I shoot using a CTO gel, I bring the the white balance a little bit lower to be a little bit cold, so the skin tone matches the reality. Okay, so when you put the CTO gel, which is the orange one, you should bring your white balance a little bit lower, about 3,000 to 4,000. That matches the difference on of the color. Okay. Okay, let me see if I have any question. Sunshine. Sorry, Luis, I really don't understand your question. If you can be more specific, okay? So I will go back to you with that question. Let me see if I have any other question. I don't. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So okay, so this is the same couple as this one. Okay, so then we went outside. The sun was about to set again. You see it is over here, so it's about to set. And as you know, I tend to underexpose my images when I use off-camera flash. Okay, so in this case, as you can see, I almost lost all the shadows over here, but that shouldn't scare you, because you can recover them on using your Photoshop or your Lightroom or whatever software you're using. So my assistant was holding an AD600 with the reflector, so I had no softbox, no modifier, no diffuser, straight a reflector with AD600, and I was using the Sony 16-35 at 1/160 of a second, f16, ISO 100. Okay, so the final image is here. You see how I was able to recover the shadows, and you can see even better on this image, which is exactly the same setup. The only difference, I edited differently this one, but the only difference on this one is that I had a lower angle. Of course, you have I have my veil, but the setup of the off-camera flash, it's exactly the same. Nothing changes. Then what I always teach my class when I teach a workshop is to keep your off-camera flash in the same position and you move on a different spot. You see, now I have a totally different perspective, totally different look, as I have the sun peeking from the head, but the light is coming from this side, the main light. You can understand from, you see, from the shadow and the highlights from the back of Nicole, the bride, how the light is embracing, is painting the body. Okay, you see two different look. Of course the edit is different, but by you changing the perspective and keeping the off-camera flash on the same position, you can get a total different look. The light behaves in a different way because your perspective is different. Yes, Swati, this image was from, that image was from the rangefinder, correct? Hey Ed, I'm feeling fine. I'm back in action. Okay, Angela, which image are you referring to? On my wedding day, unless I have a lot of time, I try to minimize my my softbox, my modifier, not to have so much stuff going on, so many things to bring, to carry. But if I have time, of course I know my timeline, and if I have enough time, I'm gonna bring a softbox, I'm gonna bring an umbrella, I'm gonna bring something that I know I can use it. But if I know that I have maybe 10 minutes, maybe I do bring it, but maybe I leave it in the cart. I don't take it out unless I really need it. Okay, but if you understand and you know how the light behaves, you can manage to create amazing images just having maybe a magma sphere or a grid or a reflector for the 8600. So even if you don't have the softbox, but you understand how the light behaves, then you can actually create amazing images without having modifier. But of course I do like to have a modifier because I do prefer to have soft light rather than harsh light. Okay. Sorry guys, if you hear my kids scream in the background, is they're playing Xbox next door, so they go ballistic when they play with Xbox. Okay. Now I think you do remember this image, but today when I was going through all my images from weddings, I realized I have the behind the scene kind of the setup of this image. So as you can see here, I was testing the light, and you can see the setup. So I have a speed light, then I have a CTO gel with a mag mod and a mag sphere. I think after this one I also added how you call it, the grid, just to narrow the beam of light a little bit. I'm not sure, but 50-50 chance. Okay, so in this case it was a little bit complicated because as you can see the whole room was on a red tone, plus the spotlight yellow, the chandelier over here, you don't see them, they're yellow, so the color were going all over the places. Where is it? Here it is. So that's the final image. Of course I clone out all the spotlights on the ceiling, and the only I'm sure you guys know already, but the thing that bothers me the most is that I didn't position the bride a little bit further towards the camera, because the shadows is falling on the wall over here. But over here, because you have a staircase, you have the staircase. If I would brought the couple forward maybe maybe 3 feet, maybe even 2 feet, the shadow would have fall on the staircase on the right side. Okay, that's the only thing that bothers me the most. So settings, 1/50 of a second, f4, ISO 1600, using, and of course the wide angle, my favorite one, 16 to 35. Okay. I could have brought this lens is 2.8, so I could have brought to 2.8, but I was afraid a little bit on the on missing the focus, so I want to be sure, so I went to f4, even though this is a wide angle. Usually wide angle are they don't have a lot of depth of field, they don't have a lot of misfocusing, but I want to be sure because I want to have this image perfect. So f4, ISO 1600 at 1/50 of a second, 1/50 of a second, because I wanted to bring a lot of ambient light in. It was extremely dark room. There is no windows, there is nothing major of light coming in, so everything was depending on my only speed light with the mag sphere as well. So for those of you that don't know, the mag sphere is something like that, and so I had the CTO gel on the back. Actually, it was like this: CTO gel on the back. Maybe the grid, I don't remember. It was 3 years ago, this wedding, and then I had the speed light. So that was all the light that I used for this image, and as you can see, her dress is perfectly exposed. The perfect amount of highlights and shadows on her face, on her body, and if you can see this little spot between the elbow and the back, that's technically, I positioned that elbow perfectly over there because I wanted to show this gap between the back and the elbow, so you can see how thin she is. If her elbow would have been forward a little bit, I would have increased her beautiful figure by another 4 inches, 5 inches, and usually no bride want to show how skinny they are. So that was the a little bit extra about the details of how you pose your couple. Let me see if there is any question. Okay, I don't have any questions so far, so let's move on. Now this one. So I usually don't have this type of limousine in my wedding, so when I got this limousine for this wedding, I was so excited. So I had so many images that I have from this session. So as you can see, she's looking to our left, to her right, where the groom was. And this image, I want to talk about more about details more than off-camera flash. As you can see, the image looks at first sight beautiful. You nail it, exposure is good, everything's fine. But then you realize that I am in the frame, you are in the reflection. Okay, so many times, and then you see also the videographer next to me. So many times you get excited about an image that when you take a shot, either you don't even look at it or you don't pay attention to it and you move on, thinking that you create a beautiful image, which is on its own it's okay image. There are some flaws, like her eyes, you don't see her eyes, and so on. But we should always be careful about these reflections, because sometimes you as I said, you get excited and then you forget about these small details. Then you go back home, you upload your images, then you see that you screw up. So luckily I noticed immediately, and then I change my view. Okay, and then you see the groom over here. The groom was actually very dark in the shade, so I had my second shooter with the 8600 blasting. It was super sunny, it was summer, it was hot, we were so late for everything, but I use the 8600 with a reflector again, and you can see also from her catch light a little bit that it goes, yeah, you can see that, you see. And over here my second shooter or my assistant had the 8600 just illuminating the groom, so in the on the reflection is perfectly exposed. Okay, so that was just a little bit of another notion of knowledge that some people forget to, maybe they don't pay attention, maybe we are excited about the image more, maybe we are under pressure, time is not to our side, I don't know, something happens and you're in a rush and you don't pay attention. But please take your time. I'm talking about weddings because that's where we cannot replicate the shot after it's completed. So take your time, don't rush. 15-20 seconds more doesn't make any difference on anybody's timeline, but for you, for us, it's precious time. So take your time, look at the entire frame. When you take a picture, just either you chimp it or look inside if it's a mirrorless, and be sure that everything's super perfect. Okay, so let me see if there is any other comments. Okay, I don't see any comments. Okay, so I keep going. So if you have any question, please guys, don't forget to write them down. So write them down in the comments. I go back and forth, and I can see your question and I can help you out. Hey Swati, okay. Yes, Swati, it's let me go back to that image. Yeah, okay, sorry, I was reading your question again. So this image is nice, but I'm not talking about my reflection. Let's pretend my reflection is not there. I don't know, something is missing. I don't know, maybe because I see just the white of her eyes. It's an image that is like half executed. It's something is missing. Maybe I could have had the groom reflection over here on this window. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse, but I'm talking about the rear, the side window after the bride over here. So maybe I should have his reflection over there, but then I think this is a little bit better because you see the car, you see the type of car, and it's like the story is drawing into you from both sides. Okay, from this side where she's looking at the groom, and so on. So I prefer this one a little bit more, but if I wouldn't have my reflection over there, I could have maybe played a little bit better. I don't know. But thank you anyway, Swati. You're always cute with me. You could have had two images in one verse. Yeah. No, you're right. But I remember on this at this wedding we were extremely late. Really, we had maybe 10 minutes to make the whole scene. and it kills me because the bride was gorgeous and the groom was really an amazing guy. So it really killed me not to have more images from the wedding, but really the hair and makeup took forever to finish the job, and we were maybe an hour and a half late, and so on. Okay, so so you guys saw this hold on, here it is. So you guys saw this image many times. I don't have a behind the scene image, but I can tell you that the hold on, let me so the flash, the off-camera flash was coming from top camera left. Okay, so from the bride perspective, maybe 10-11 o'clock. So right there, my assistant had a long model pad with the speed light and the mag mode grid, and the couple was spinning, and the settings are simple. Again, super wide angle, 16 to 35. I was on my knee, so I wanted to get the grand door of the Grand Central Station, those windows, that ceiling, everything. And I was a 1/60th of a second. So if you guys have ever been to Grand Central Station, it looks bright, but it's very dark actually. And I was using f5.6 because again, I was afraid to miss focus on the couple, so I wanted to be sure that they are pretty sharp. And I was using ISO 2000. So the ISO 2000 and 1/60 of a second balance out the f5.6. Okay, so I want to get as more ambient light possible to have a dramatic look, so the chandelier or the spotlights of the Grand Central Station would pop out even more. Okay. Okay, on that image also, don't forget that I use 1/60 of a second because I wanted the flow of the dress to have that movement, not to be extremely frozen, but to flow with everything. Okay. Then let me see which one is it. Okay, this one. Here it is. So same couple as before. Then we went downstairs. Downstairs is the food court of Grand Central Station, but they have this beautiful location where they have this gorgeous tile ceiling, and as you can see over here, that's the monopod with the speed light with the mag mode grid. So the mag mode grid, if you guys don't know, narrows the beam of light. Okay, so I don't have such a huge spill of light over here. And I told Anna, the bride, just to look to her right, so she's beautiful lit, and then Alex, the groom, just to look straight to the temple. Okay, just smile, be nice, be cute. And so with one source of light, you can illuminate evenly both of them, because in reality he's spit lit. Okay, he's spit lit, but you don't see the other side of the face. But her, because she's turning into the light, so she's perfectly lit. And this is the final image. Of course, I did a lot of crappy how you call it, Photoshop to remove everybody, but there's a final image. Okay, so again, underexpose a little bit. Even if I don't edit this way, this is a little bit bright maybe, and even if I lower a little bit the exposure, they pop out because it's underexposed for the ambient light, but then the flash increase the exposure, so they come out from the picture. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm answering to Angela's question. How do you set up something like that in Grand Central Station? Is it difficult, allowed, hard to keep people out of the way? Okay, so for an image, I'm sure you're referring to something like that or something like this. So first of all, you need a permit to shoot a wedding like this at the Grand Central Station. So you have to, the bride usually calls in the Grand Central Station, they send her a form. It's free actually, but they just want to know who the couple is, who the photographer is, names and everything. So if something happened, they know who these people are. Also, how you call it? Police come, they stop you, say, do you have a permit? So you show the permit, and they keep, and then you can keep photographing. When you take a picture in the actual Grand Central Station, there is nothing you can do about all these people. They are part of the scene. They are part of the look of Grand Central Station. Unless you go 3 o'clock in the morning, you always have about 500,000 people. I mean, no now, but usually you have a lot of people walking through Grand Central Station. So you shoot with them, you shoot alongside of these people, and it's part of the game, a part of the look. But on this one, for example, I really didn't care about this guy walking with a sandwich, or these people here standing by. They actually kind of ruin the image. That's why I decided to edit them out and pretend that Grand Central Station just belongs to them. Okay. Okay, let's go to the next one. So this image. Okay, so this image again is part of this wedding. So we went over here, and I use one off camera, one speed light with I think there was with 2 or 3 grids. You can see how is just a spotlight. Okay, that was 2.5 years ago, and even though I love this image and the couple loves it, I didn't like this extra spot of light. And few years later, maybe this one was 6 months ago, I shot an identical image. Okay, identical image in the same place, but instead of having 3 mag grid, I had only 1. So now the speed of light is wider, and I like much better than this one. Okay, so monopod, exactly same thing as this one. You see monopod with the speed light from camera right. So we're talking about 2 o'clock, around top right, pointing down 45 degrees, and that's how it was shot. It was again simple, fast. Don't overcomplicate your things. I learned from my own mistake about this image, about the spotlight, which I didn't like it. And when I went 2.5 years later, I remember about this mistake, and I create a better image for my couple. Something different. They're not kissing, they're looking at each other, they're smiling, and I actually love this image much better. Leading lines are much better than over here. Over here I was standing straight on. As you can see, my point of focus is the same height as the groom, but this one I was a little bit lower. You can see the handrail is right next to me, because I wanted to create these leading lines, which is one of the handrail, then the one from the shiny marble, then I have the chandelier, all these leading lines leading into the couple. Okay, so even though you create an amazing image 2 years before, if there is anything that you don't like it, study your image, dissect your image after you go back to your studio, to at home, and see if you can improve the image. Okay, in this case I was able to improve it, and a couple of years later I created an image that is far better than the original one. Okay, let's go on, let's move on to the next one. So same couple, then we went outdoors. We went to this beautiful place, New York City, Manhattan, you know, tall buildings all over the place. And look, it was cloudy, it wasn't sunny, so if it was sunny I was never be able to use a speed light to illuminate the couple. But it was cloudy, the sun was not out. Again, one speed light at full power with the max sphere. And where is it? That's the final image. Why they are here? It is. Okay, I just removed the hand of my second shooter. Again, nothing super complicated. You're on the go, you have to keep moving one after the other. Just know your settings, just know your how you call it, how the light behaves, what the challenges are, how to frame it. As you can see, I was at the same level as the staircase, so I was shooting upwards. I wanted to get the whole building in the frame to show how beautiful, important this building is, and to frame the couple in between the two buildings. Okay, of course it's not an image that will win any awards, but it's an image that the couple will love it. Okay, that's what's most important. Don't shoot for competition, don't shoot to post it on Instagram or Facebook. Just concentrate on your couple. They are the people that are paying you. They are the people that put so much trust in you, in me, in us. So when I shoot for a wedding, at the beginning I used to be more towards competition, but for some reason, for different reason, I no longer participate in competition. And you know what, I said, you know what, I had to focus on my clients. Those are the people that pay me money, a lot of money, and I had to make them as happy as possible. Then if I have an image that is gorgeous, that's even better, but I shouldn't focus on their watch, on their money for my personal gain. Okay, thank you, Swati, thank you so much. You're always so kind with me. Let's move on now. Okay, this image. Now on this image I had a little bit more time. Okay, so I did bring my softbox out with the slide stand, AD600. Actually, this wedding was shot in early October. As you can see, the leaves are still out, but it was maybe 25 degrees, 30 degrees. It was so brutally cold that day. You can see the gloves on my second shooter. So it was really, really cold, but they really wanted to have pictures taken outside. And again, 16 to 35, almost, honestly, 90% of my images are shot with a super angle. 1 to 50 of a second, f14. I wanted to have, again, everything in focus to show this beautiful tree. And ISO 100. Again, first thing I do, bring my ISO all the way down to 64 to 80 to 100. Sorry, and to have the sharpest image possible. Then I decide my aperture, in this case f14. I want to have the blue sky. I want to have these three show every single leaf, and then 1 to 50th of a second based on my power of the flash, which I really don't remember. So the final image, here it is. You see, I have this beautiful blue sky. Of course, you can enhance it a little bit on Photoshop, on Lightroom, whatever you use, but everything is already there. Okay, you can see this image, every single this is a JPEG, so it's a low res, but if I would pull out the original one, the high resolution, you can see every single leaf, every single pore of the skin. So you have to take your time. Nobody's rushing you. Okay, always position the light where the nose of the bride in this case is, so the nose is always pointing to the flash, to the off-camera flash. If you see on my images, 90% of my images, they are set up on the same basic split light for the groom. I turn the face of the bride towards the light, and I always sacrifice the king for the queen. For me, it's always more important. It's always more important to have the bride super lit, beautiful light, rather than the groom. Something that I don't like from this image, yes, his elbow is out a little bit too much. I didn't notice when I shot it. I would have asked him to bring his hand towards the waist of Natasha, the bride, and to close his elbow a little bit more. Right now it's too stiff. Okay, but these are details that we do see. As a photographer, we are very anal on our judgment, at least I am. And if you are very aggressive on judgment on your own pictures, trust me, the next time this mistake you won't do it, or at least you will pay more attention to this kind of details. Okay, blah 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 blah. Then the next one, so over here you see the leg of the stand. I don't know if you can see on the top left side is the softbox. Over here, top left, around maybe 11 o'clock, you see a little bit of the softbox. Again, same thing. I pose my bride with the leg bent a little bit, so I can have the beautiful shape of her figure. Bring a shape, and I create this highlight and shadow on her faces, so the light wraps around the bride. So let's see the final image. Here it is. For some reason that's so bright on the screen. Okay, that's it. Okay, simple setup, simple images, nothing that requires 2, 3, 4 different lights. Okay, I'm using the sun to my advantage to create this beautiful hair light. You see, separation using the available light, the sun. The sun is there, let me use it to my advantage. I don't fight it, I embrace it. You understand? I always keep saying that. Don't fight the sun, embrace it. And then I use my off-camera flash to lift those shadows created by the natural cause of the light. Okay, so as you can see, guys, I'm really 99% of the time I use one off-camera flash for my weddings portrait. Also during my engagement session, if I don't have an assistant, I always have a stand with a speed light, or I edit to 200 with the how you call it, with the sphere, and so on. So I don't overcomplicate it my shot. I understand how the light behaves. I understand where to position the light. That's a key. That's what you have to master. So in the event that you don't have time, in the event that you are alone, you know how to position the light, and then you know your settings of your camera and so on, so you can create images one after the other and create images that that will wow your clients. So let me see if I have any image. Hi Nicole. Noshad, which image you're talking about, the composite, please? Thank you, Rob. We had to get this workshop done in Kansas. I'm dying to come, but this freaking virus is killing all my project this year. I'm so upset. So let's go to the next image. Okay, so this image, I just brought this image because I want to show you my setup of lighting at wedding venues, wedding hall during the party, and so on. So as you can see, if again, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but I'm trying to let you know what I'm looking at. So based on the couple, the bride and the groom, to the left, to the right, you see two spotlights. Okay, so those are my AD 200 with the CTO gel and with the grid. So I have this setup behind them, and then I have the same setup behind me. So I have 4 total off-camera flash during my wedding. Sometimes I separate these two wider, even more wider. Okay, depends how many people I have, depends the situation, but usually are either here or maybe 5 to 7 feet up, even more apart. Okay, same thing behind me. Now I use this light to create you see this separation for the couple, the how you call it, the hair light over here, over here, over here, and I'm using the front light. So in my case, my backlight, I turn them off. I turn them off because that creates shadows to my subject. So let me switch 1 second. Let me show you. So these are the subjects. Sorry, let's do something else that you can see better. These are my subject, and this is the flash. So the flash is behind them. Okay, so sorry, behind me. So if the flash is firing, it's casting shadow on me or a person in front of me, and the shadow will cast the flash will cast a shadow on my subject. Okay, so I hope you guys understand what I'm talking about. So in this case, I have gazillions of people behind me. By turning off the flash behind me, I don't have any shadows in front of me. So you see these people behind the couples, you see the shadows on the floor, exactly what I'm talking about. So reverse the concept, and if I have flash behind me, then I have people in front of me or behind me, the shadow will cast on my subject. Okay, so that's why if you do this setup, you always have to remember to turn off the flash behind you and to leave the flash on behind the subject. And if I turn around, because they're dancing, whatever reason it is, I just turn off this one and turn on the other one behind me. Okay, I know it's a little bit complicated, but if you get the concept, it's easy to understand. Hey Zain, thank you so much. Okay, Noshad, I understand what you're saying. Okay, what was your question? The convert to image. So you're talking about this one. Yes, usually that's what I do. I take one shot, okay, then I tell my assistant just walk away, and I take the same shot so I can have the whole tree without the flash. Okay, same thing, I did it over here. I took a shot. I told my assistant for the next shot just walk away 1 second, and I do that. Then I line them on Photoshop, and I take the second image. Same concept. Okay, this image, I really love this image. It has so much value to the groom. He was reading a letter from the bride, and he started crying. The final image, of course, is black and white, super dramatic, but the lighting is again super duper easy. It's just I brought what's it called, the stick, the ice light, either the ice light or the Yanwo one. I don't remember which one I used for this scene, but just a strip of light in front of him to create this dramatic look, highlight and shadow. Okay, so super easy setup. So let me switch. Okay, so if this is the groom, the light was right in front of him, maybe a little bit behind him, so it sorry, I'm jiggling with 3 different views. Okay, so the light is not right across from of him, a little bit off axle, so I can see that shadows on his side of the face. You wrap around that light around his face to create that the dramatic look, that shift between highlight and shadows. Okay, you don't want flat light all the time. You want the transition, that I call it painting the subject with the light. Okay, so you play a little bit with light to create this kind of transition of light. Now look at this image. Okay, yep, that's the bride. Okay, so I was using this stick. Yeah, that's the young one. Okay, so again, same concept. I set her up on this corner. The place had this humongous portrait hang on the wall, and again, you see how I twist her body just to create that shape on her body, to feature her figure, to feature her face. She has a gorgeous face, and to create that shadows on her face as well. So by having the light on extreme our right side of camera view, camera right, and then you twist her body, so the body is turning to the camera, but her face is turning to the light. Again, face to the light. Okay, always with your face to the light, and then you always 90% of the time you get an amazing light to your subject. Okay, so then of course I don't have the image here, but of course then I crop out this light in Photoshop. It's super easy to do it. I didn't compose this image because I was late, but then for the same image, you see, where is it? For the same image, I change a little bit, same concept. Again, this is a raw image straight out of camera, and same thing. She turn around, face to the wall, body to the wall, face into the light. As you can see, from left to right, that's how the light is traveling. Okay, simple, easy setup on the go. Bang, bang, bang. Now, here I have the final image. Actually, here it is. Of course, this is dark. So that's how the final image is. So let me see. Here it is. So from this one to this one, you see, same image. I just crop it out on Photoshop. It's a beautiful image. Imagine that full spread on the album. It's amazing. Now, I like to play with. Oh, sorry. I like to play with the shadows. Sorry, it's not just the image. Here it is. So this room had so many different portraits hanging on the wall, and every time I have this kind of reflection surface, I love to create these images using an off-camera flash or video light and incorporate the reflection into the image. Okay, something like that. I have that stick, ice light or whatever you want to call it, video light, just put on the side of the face to create this highlight and shadows, and use that, creating something different, something that the image, the bride can enjoy it. It's an artistic image, artistic look. You do your basic images, the beautiful shot, the bread and butter, and then you just start playing with your images as well. Blah 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 blah. Let me see if there is any comments. Sorry guys. Okay, Zain, how many photographers do you shoot with? It depends on the wedding size. I usually my weddings are usually pretty big. It's between 500 to 900 guests, so they're pretty big weddings. Minimum is myself plus a second shooter and my assistant. And I had the event with 1,200 people guests, and I had myself plus 3 other photographers, so in total of 4. So it depends on the budget of the client, depends on the how you call it, on the number of guests and so on. So let's moving on. So the same, here it is. The same couple, the same bride. This one is something that I enjoyed taking a picture of. Was really nice, really fun. So I had I had my assistant with speed light with a grid, magmod grid, to illuminate the groom, and I have my assistant behind these 2 columns doing the same thing for the bride. Okay, so one light was one light was for the bride and one light was for the groom. Okay. Okay, this room was really super dark. My settings were 1/80th of a second, so I need to have a lot of room light, ambient light into the sensor. f2.8 and ISO 2000. So yeah, I almost stretch all my possible tools for this image. Okay, and the final image is here. Of course, I change a little bit. She's not facing straight to the camera. He came a step down, because over here he was right in front of the vertical line of the handrail, which was bothering me. So I asked him to make 1 step lower, as you can see, and then I crop out the second shooter, and then I fix the vertical of the lines because of the wide angle. So I was shooting actually like this, so I had to fix the perspective of the image. Last image, guys. That's another the last image. Before we jump to this image, let me see if I have any questions. Okay, nothing's going on. Okay, so the last image, Lightroom. So I just wanted to show you the position of my 4 off-camera flash. Again, I don't know if you can see my my mouse. So the first light was around 2 o'clock, where there is blue light on the corner. If you go all the way down, you see my flash that is flashing. The other one you don't see is out of frame. Is do you guys see the low table around 5 o'clock? So my other flash was to the right of that table. Then from that table, go across the room, and the flash is behind the speaker. You see a stand is about maybe 9 o'clock, between 8 and 9 o'clock over here. And the last one is, let me see if I can find it. I think it's behind the other speaker on the other side around, what is it, 11 o'clock? So they're all hiding behind the speakers. But I have 4 total flash. Then here it is. Then on Photoshop, I create a second layer. I lower the exposure, and then I create this beautiful image where there looks like there is only one spotlight on the couple. Okay, you can still see my flash popping up on the top right corner around 2 o'clock. So I duplicate the layer. I make 2 layers, one on top of each other, and I lower the exposure, I mask it, and then I create an image like that. That is a little bit more dramatic, beautiful for the album. Okay. Oh God, you didn't see the image. Okay, so let me do it again. Let me do it faster for you. So, original image, first light, around again 1 o'clock. You see this blue line, blue uplight. You see my flash popping. Then you see this table at around 5 o'clock. Is the last table on the bottom of the frame, and the light was at the right of the table, out of camera. Then if you go across the room, you see a big speaker on the left side. You can see a hint of the table of the stand. That's my third light, and the other light is around 11 o'clock behind that stand, behind that speaker as well. Okay. Then again, I created 2 layers on Photoshop. I lower the exposure, I mask it, and then I created the final image. Okay, so sorry about that, guys. Okay, last question. Do you ever face situation where your flash having problem? And no, no, I don't. Knock on wood. I never had that issue. But regardless of that, I always have on-camera flash as well, pointing to the ceiling with the sphere. So in case those don't work, I always have my backup over here. Anyway, I have 4 off-camera flash. If one runs out of battery, one stop working, I still have 3. Even if 2 of them don't work, I still have 2 plus my own camera flash. So I have plenty of resources to handle the situation. Okay, so that's about it. It was 1 hour, and I really actually enjoyed it very much, going through these images and telling you, showing you how I create my images. Again, it's not something that it's easy to explain on a webinar on Facebook, and I hope this situation, this crisis, ends soon, because I have I'm planning a wedding workshop where I will actually have this kind of setups. I explain you live how I create these images, and it will be open mind for all of you to take part of it. I have one in New York coming up in July, and I'm planning to have one in in California, one in Arizona as well. So Anyway, I'm not here for marketing myself. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any question, if you want me to do another webinar, another Facebook live about showing images, please let me know. Send me a message, make a comment which type of webinar you would like to see. I'm trying to help you guys in this period where we don't work as much, we don't have a lot of things to do, so I'm trying to do this webinar and to share my knowledge with everybody and to know you guys. So thank you for tuning in, thank you for giving me the opportunity to teach you something tonight. It's 10 o'clock and I'm going to sleep, and that's about it. So guys, really thank you for the messages about my health, about my conditions. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm just waiting for the result of my second test. So even if it's positive, it's not a big deal. I'm staying home anyway, so I don't have any worries about. Please be safe, everybody. Be healthy, and that's it. Thank you so much. Love you. Peace.